Black Paradox by Junji Ito. Four people intent on killing themselves. They meet through the suicide website Black Paradox and decide their lives are not worth it anymore. Maruso, a nurse who despairs about the future. Taburo, a man who is tortured by his doppelganger. Pitan, an engineer with his own robot clone who he thinks will take his place. And Baraki, who has a problem with her reflection that she says it wants her dead, and she is a woman who agonizes about the birthmark on her face that I'm gonna show you later on, so if you're eating anything, please finish it before you see her face. They wander together in search of the perfect death, fatefully opening a door that leads them to a rather bizarre destiny. While driving to the place that they will die, the only one who was not complaining about a clone of herself or anything like that sees the car passing by with the exact people she's in the car with, and she starts thinking of the doppelgangers and stuff like that. Here's where it gets interesting. Baraki is not showing in the mirror. She rethinks what Baraki said earlier, that her right side is ugly, but it's her left side actually. So that could only mean one thing, that this Baraki was a fake one reflecting the real one. Maruso and Taburo are chatting a bit about how strange the others seem. One has realized that Pitan is a robot from the sounds he make, and the other one that Baraki is a reflection. So they start running to escape, even though death is what they wanted from the very beginning. So what will happen? Anyways, Pitan's clone and Baraki's reflection are chasing them with their "I will kill you" looks, but Maruso throws a rock at her, breaking the reflection. While Pitan manages to stop Taburo, and look at that, Taburo was a fake one too. Which does not make sense. If he was the fake one, how come he was running and not working with them, or why was he running in the first place? But anyways, Maruso starts running to escape from the robot, and she finds the real suicidal squad, who help her in some way even though she wanted to die all along. They take another death trip. This time they have some pills, so we'll send them to where they want to be. So without thinking, they take those pills, or that's what the only one of them did, because the other three were scared to do so, showing that maybe they don't want to die. And to me, it's not that they want to die, it's just that they want to change their lives and their future. But Pitan seems dead now. He starts shaking and screaming from a certain pain coming from inside. And boom, he vomits some type of round rock that came out of nowhere. He says it was shining. It was a dazzling world. Now we know Pitan killed himself with the pills, but he came back with a weird rock saying it was a shining world. Which means that the rock was probably from a different place that we're going to call the afterlife. Now they want to know more about this stone before deciding to kill themselves. Pitan goes to the hospital to see what has happened with him, and Maruso works there but decides to not tell him that. Pitan seems okay to the doctors, until the doctor sees his pylorus or whatever it's called, so let's just call it the stomach. The doctor starts screaming after he sees what is inside Pitan, which might be connected with the afterlife. The suicide group meet up again, and they are talking about how much money could they get from the stone since it's never seen before. And Pitan shows them that he actually has many more than just the one on Baraki's hand. Maybe it's not his body producing them, but actually his stomach is a portal to the afterlife. But since the rock looked alive when it was thrown to the ground before, they think it's not an ordinary rock, but a soul. Now Pitan is suffering more than ever, with his stomach ready to explode from the number of stones coming out. Now I don't know what y'all thinking about, Baraki was probably thinking of the amount of money she could get out of this. But before that, she should try to stay alive from the shining world coming out of Pitan. Some time passes by and our main characters have collected a lot of gems, but Pitan seems missing because Maruso left him at the hospital at night, but no one in there seems to know anyone with the exploded stomach. Our marketing guys, Baraki and Taburo, found the robot version of Pitan that needs to be charged. They smash the rock with a hammer, and spirits come out of the rock. Baraki seems to have seen a whole different life in those split seconds, but also a certain robot recharged from the amount of energy released from that stone. Meanwhile, the famous guy who Baraki gave the stone to seems to have lost his mind because he pulled a gun out of his pocket and shot the stone, releasing a crazy amount of energy, killing them and burning down the building. Baraki has started her therapy with a doctor named Suka, if I'm not mistaken, and it's looking like she can actually change her look after living with that disgusting birthmark. But things are not looking that good for everyone. It seems that our robot is trying to kill himself, but he's not able to, and also the gem that burned down the building is making our main characters serious targets, because they think it's their fault that Stone could do that. So they decide to hide, taking the robot with them as well. Going from a suicide group to trying to live one, while Maruso takes a trip to Dr. Suka's house for some quality time with the doctor. But she ends up finding a good amount of afterlife stones. Now we see that Pitan was found by Dr. Suka that night, and the doctor says Pitan is alive. Well, maybe not Pitan as a whole, but his stomach for sure. That is the only portal to the afterlife, so the doctor probably did the right thing saving that stomach. Until we see that another portal has been created, and that is a birthmark of Baraki, which is just typical Junji Ito when it comes to the design. And that face made Maruso lose conscience. They started the surgery immediately. Now her birthmark is being cultivated so we can have 2 portals, while Maruso is locked by them so she can move. She keeps saying something terrible is going to happen, and something does happen. The doctor has invited some people to take a look at his portals, and one of them sadly dies while trying to go in there, so the portals may be opened for everybody. But the entrance is the last thing they will see, since only the one who has that body part can go in there. And the one who can go there is the robot who wants to die. But sadly he can't, because at the moment he's the owner, let's say, of that portal. So now he's named the first pilot into the spirit world. Now Baraki and the doctor are having some fun together, while Maruso is going insane from what happened to her earlier. And if that was not enough, Baraki tells her that the dog does not love her anymore. Or that's what Baraki thinks, because the doctor is just trying to use her so he can have 2 pilots to the spirit world. But of course she will find out that later. And now things get weird and rushed. The dog finds Maruso's portal by examining tumors and stuff like that, while Taburo has for a portal his own shadow. And now they are the 4 pilots to the spirit world, who wanted to die all along, but still were afraid to live, so now they have a chance to go in there and to come back for the sake of humanity. The name of the Licking Woman. The story starts with a man walking down the street alone at night, thinking he is safe. But no, this time a woman will attack this guy, and make both genders equal to the darkness of night. As you have already figured it out by the name, this woman licked the guy with her massive tongue on his face and hand. So his girl was a bit shocked when she learned that, like every girl will be if their boyfriends are getting licked across the street. And then look at her cute dog licking his sand so he can be clean. Oh, whatever, they both die from the woman's saliva. The news are going crazy because of the Licking Woman, who is killing mostly men because women are smart enough to not walk alone at night, or they probably are haunted by the Licking Men. And then the girl that we saw earlier has a plan to catch the Licking Woman, who for some reason has not been knocked out by one of those guys she has licked, even though they have seen her in the news. But no, they won't catch her, because they respect women so much to let them kill the whole neighborhood without interrupting. Now the plan of that girl is simple. Take a walk at night, let the woman lick her, and then show some love by hugging her so she can get away. And it worked. But the Licking Woman gave her the "I will come back for you" face. Which she will not, because killing multiple people with a deadly tongue is enough for them to not. Oh, well, they released her. Now we are introduced to a new character that is telling us the way to kill the Licking Woman is by rubbing something extremely toxic on our skin so the Licking Woman can die doing her favorite thing. And our brave girl goes in there to finish what the prison could not.
Kiss me on my hot mouth.
The Licking Woman sees her, goes in there and immediately starts French kissing her without saying a word. That's some godly reason, my friends. Y'all need to learn from the Licking Woman. Anyways, she rubs her arm with a toxic substance and the Licking Woman starts licking the arm like she's trying to die. And guess what? The Licking Woman was that girl all along. Well, that does not make sense anyways. Why didn't she lick the substance herself? I mean, since she knew that was the way to stop licking fellas across the street, why did she wait for her? So the tongue is alive, now bouncing across the street. And our brave warrior just found a new dog and a new boyfriend. Which tells us a very meaningful message, strugglers. Never kiss a woman. You never know what that tongue has leaked first. And for this part that I told y'all the next video will be this long, I'll make a 12+ minute video that will probably be about the Black Paradox. And maybe I'll put some of the Licking Woman stuff in there as well.